Hello, everybody. It is, I believe, after 9 o'clock on Friday, August 15th, 2025. The Trump Putin summit in Alaska has just wrapped up a few hours ago. I've been trying to go through the news sources, look at the statements by both sides, and see what has come of it. As best I can tell, the answer is, from the American perspective, largely nothing. Putin showed up. He was supposed to be there for about 6 to 7 hours. They were going to do a lunch. They were going to do a joint press conference. The lunch was canceled. They met for about 3 hours. Putin left. They did not do the joint press conference. This did not go the way Trump wanted it to. Trump is, of course, heralding it as a success because that's kind of what he always does. And frankly, it's what every politician does. They declare success on just about everything. The most interesting statement to come out of this, there are two really interesting statements. The first one is from the Russian ambassador to the United States, who said the meeting went great. There were no breakthroughs, and there's not going to be any breakthroughs. If you're thinking, wait, that sounds like it's kind of contradicting itself, not from the Russian perspective. Putin wants the war to continue. It is only in the propaganda put out by the Tucker Carlsons of the world that Vladimir Putin has any interest in peace. He absolutely 100% wants the war to continue. If you are wondering, how do I know that? Well, one, because he says so internally when he's giving speeches in Russia a lot. The other thing is that he's been continuing the war for 3.5 years, and he has had 3.5 years to pull his army out of Ukraine and has not done so. So that kind of leads me to think he wants the war to keep going. The second statement that I thought was really revealing was by Trump, where he came out and said, oh, no, we got along great, everything's great, everything's so great, so we're not going to do any sanctions right now. Maybe in 2 or 3 weeks we'll do sanctions, but not now. You may remember a few weeks ago, Trump said, Russia has 50 days to end the war, or I'm going to put more sanctions on them. There's already very extensive sanctions. And then a few days after, they said, okay, they've got 10 days to end the war, but I might give them 12 days. That deadline, whether you use the 10 or the 12 day, that passed a week ago. Right before the deadline hit, Putin said, let's get together and let's have a meeting. Trump went, okay. And so the deadline for the sanctions was essentially ignored, eliminated. He got there today, and now we've got at least another few weeks till this is going to happen. Basically, Putin's strategy for months now has been to string Trump along, keep the United States on the sideline, because what Putin believes is happening on the battlefield is that the Ukrainian manpower problem is so severe that as long as the Russian army can just keep pushing, it doesn't really matter if they're winning or losing on the battlefield, just keep pushing, and eventually the Ukrainian line will just simply collapse due to lack of manpower, and he'll win the war. So far that has not happened. It does not appear that it's going to happen, but that is what he believes. So what he needs to do is stall for time. He appears to be doing that very effectively. Trump is being interviewed by Hannity, and he's going on and on about how Putin said the 2020 election was rigged and it was mail-in voting, and Putin said he won the election. Putin said that the American economy is so hot right now under Trump and it was dead before under Biden. Basically, assuming that Trump is accurately, or at least semi-accurately, relaying what Putin said, which, who knows, but let's assume for the sake of argument that he is. What Putin did was he gave Trump his own talking points. He came in and told Trump the things that Trump tells other people. And so Trump is at the moment very, very happy with Vladimir Putin, which means that he's not going to do anything to put any pressure on Russia. If you are Ukraine, this is actually a fairly good result. Not because Ukraine wants the war to continue per se. They would love to have a satisfactory conclusion, but they need a satisfactory conclusion, not any conclusion at all. And here's why. Russia's not going to stop. They're going to fight until they take Ukraine or until they can't fight anymore. If Trump is able to force a favorable ceasefire, when I say favorable for Russia, then Ukraine is going to be in a problem where in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, Russia is just going to attack all over again. They're going to be right back where they started. And now Russia will have had more time to prepare for the war. If you are Ukraine, you are going to have this fight one way or the other. It is better to have the fight now. This is as good as it's ever going to be for you in terms of the fight. Have the fight now, finish it now while you're in your strongest position. So if you are Ukraine, this is actually a fairly good outcome. If you are Eastern Europe, if you're Poland, if you're the Baltics, if you're Romania, and you know for damn sure you are next if Ukraine falls, then because the Russians have made it very clear they're not stopping at Ukraine. They are absolutely looking for Romania, Poland, the Baltics, and a few others. This is also a fairly good result. You want the war to continue because right now you're sending tanks and ammo and food and fuel and other military supplies, but you're not sending men. You're sending stuff, but not blood. The way to think of it is you're spending treasure, but not blood. That's a pretty good deal for Eastern Europe right now to keep the Russians at bay. And also, if you are Europe in general, the Russian army is bleeding out pretty badly right now in Ukraine. They're in really bad shape. They just had a breakthrough a few days ago, and it was motorcycle platoons. They could not follow up with any heavy armor or any large infantry formations. Those motorcycle platoons are currently, as I'm recording this, being surrounded and chopped up and annihilated by the Ukrainians. At least a couple of the platoons have already been obliterated. Others are currently surrounded and cut off. So Russia's only significant breakthrough they've achieved all summer is rapidly turning into a disaster and a slaughter. So if you are the Eastern Europeans or the Europeans in general, again, this is a fairly good result. The only real loser, as I can see from this, is Donald Trump. He has gotten absolutely nothing. He got a photo op, which he wanted, and he does like to be the centerpiece of the news, and he definitely got that. But from a policy and foreign policy perspective, he's achieved nothing. Putin's got what he wants. He's got the war continuing. The Ukrainians get to keep the war going, and the Eastern Europeans get to keep the war going, which is kind of what all of them want. They all agree on that. Only Trump seems to. Trump is the only one who thinks stop the war at all costs is the way to go. And he is absolutely not getting that. So now, next couple days, who knows what's going to come out. Maybe there's something else that happened. Trump is indicating there's some sort of agreement. There does not appear to be any agreement. But again, we will see what time tells. But for now, basically status quo. War continues, going to keep going just the way it was. And I would expect a long, grinding winter of warfare, attritional warfare, and Russia should burn out of their ability to continue this war sometime by the end of this year, first part of next year. Their summer offensive has been a failure. They're out of equipment. They have all kinds of economic problems. I figure they've got 4 to 8 months left before they just simply are not going to be able to keep it up. Oh, and by the way, the Ukrainians are blowing up Russian oil refineries again. They've hit several in the last 10 days, which they had stopped as a favor to the Trump administration. Trump, he knew it really, and I'm not kidding when I say this, I don't mean this facetiously. He knew it really upset Putin when the Ukrainians would blow up Russian oil infrastructure, so he really leaned on the Ukrainians and got them to stop. But for whatever reason, they've started again, and they're blowing the hell out of Russian oil production. Which, by the way, if you're an American petroleum product exporter, is great news because that's more market share that's going to be available to you. All right, bye-bye.